This podcast is part of the Neverland Network, where faith meets video games, movies, and fun. Find more shows like this at neverlandpodcast.com.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Hello. Yes, it's me again. I expected to be here with you a little sooner than I am. I thought with everything going on over the weekend that it would be best to actually have a weekend show instead of releasing on a Wednesday like I'm kind of getting in the habit to do. But unfortunately, I was not well on Sunday, and Philip was not able to join me like I wanted to. He's not able to join me even right now. If I get a chance to record something real quick with him, it'll be added into the show. But we have so much to cover because we had San Diego Comic-Con, and there was some news there. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of it. And, of course, with the passing of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, there's a lot to talk about. Plus, I got a chance to watch the Fantastic Four movie. And as you know, I didn't have high expectations for it. The trailers really didn't quite do it for me. So what are my final thoughts after having seen the movie? Well, we'll get to that later. After, of course, I got a little bit of history of the Fantastic Four that we'll talk about. It's, not a whole lot of stuff, but I was going to have like a trivia thing with Philip to go a little bit more of the history of the Fantastic Four. But since we're not able to do that, it'll be a brief touch up on it because really I don't think I'd have much time for more because I really have a lot of stuff to cover on here. So with that being the case, I think we're just going to get right into it. So, of course, with the what have I been watching? Well, I watched the Fantastic Four. What have I been playing? I'm still playing Final Fantasy VI, and I'm going to leave it at that because I have a lot of different things to cover in the news.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
Well, this is something that's probably more fun for me and anyone who lives near me, I guess. This is actually from Godzilla.com. Yes, you heard me correctly, Godzilla.com. And the headline here reads, Godzilla vs. America, Kansas City, one shot to heat ray the heartland in October. Let me read a little bit of this for you. The King of Monsters is about to stomp a long way from Tokyo. On October 29th, ADW Publishing's Godzilla vs. America, Kansas City, one shot, will show what happens when the Godzilla roar. Why is it the Godzilla? But yeah, when Godzilla roars into a smaller state line straddling city about 800 miles from the nearest coast. Featuring stories by Kyle Strom of Twig, Freddie E. Williams II from Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Baltimore Rivas from Godzilla vs. the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2, Jake Smith, Godzilla War for Humanity, How to Draw Godzilla, and Buster Moody from Godzilla in Hell. The one-shot will pack 56 pages. From IDW's official solicitation, calling it Kansas City wasn't enough to throw Godzilla off the trail. The King of the Monsters knows it's really in Missouri, and it's on its way. You may have thought your city was too small to attract a kaiju. Well, you shouldn't have stuff it so full of incredible comics creators. At this point, there's nothing left to do but enjoy it. So join a star-studded group of Kansas City-based comics creators as Godzilla smashes its smallest city yet. Really? Well, I guess we're smaller than Tokyo, perhaps, but we are the biggest city in Missouri, but I guess we aren't considered a highfalutin type of city like New York. Either way, this is my hometown. I actually live a bit north of Kansas City in Gladstone, but, it'd be kind of fun to have a little mention of it. And I even shared it with the news director up in St. Joe, or at the station that I work at, and said, hey, that's close enough. This is pretty cool. Godzilla's about to smash Kansas City, and maybe St. Joe will get a mention. Who knows? And if they show a map, it might, pop up. I got to share a little bit about what I just took a sip of. I'm drinking some coffee with, it's an Orange Crush like orange cream kind of creamer. So yeah, I know it sounds weird, but it's actually pretty good. All right, so Deadline has a lot of different photos that they took from the San Diego Comic-Con. Trying to keep up to go through a list of different things. Let me just read a little bit of this article from Deadline. San Diego Comic-Con 2025 officially kicked off, drawing an immense crowd of superfans dedicated to all things comics, movies, television, gaming, and books. They forgot to say toys. The annual event, globally recognized as the largest comic convention, continues to shatter attendance records, attracting a star-studded lineup of creators, actors, and industry professionals from across the entertainment spectrum. So here's the thing that I say with San Diego Comic-Con. Sometimes they want to be able to say, well, we own the term Comic-Con, and this, like, it's all about them. I think their proximity to Hollywood makes a difference because the movie studios don't consider it that far, I guess, to go to attend a Comic-Con in San Diego, and they've learned that, hey, we can get some promotional stuff. So it's a lot less about comics and toys over there, and definitely more about, well, it's become more about pop culture than nerd culture. But yeah, things have definitely changed. There was a lot of different trailers and announcements. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is coming December 5th. I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in that. I watched the first one. It was all right. It's not really my thing. I can't even get into the games. We also got to see a look at the August. I guess it says December 10th. The August 29th is a Toxic Avenger reboot, but I think that's going to be an R-rated thing. Same with Five Nights. Well, no, Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't think they got an R rating on that one. Didn't they try to get around it? I don't remember. But Percy Jackson and the Olympians gets the second season on Disney Plus for December 10th. And they are confirming also a season 3. And I think each season there, it looks like they're trying to follow the books and they're trying to be a bit more in line with the books. Now, it's been a long time since I listened to the audio of, I think I went through at least 2 books. And I did see the first of the Disney films, which I thought the first film was actually pretty good. The series wasn't bad. I kind of went through it and I watched it and went along with it. It's like, okay, and having studied mythology in school, you'd think I'd be more interested in the book series, but I don't think it was. When I read it, it wasn't targeted at me. It seems like it's definitely aimed at a teenage or youth audience. And I was probably in my 30s. Now, Harry Potter seems a bit more universal to me, that I was able to go through those books. I guess I was probably early 30s when I first listened to an audiobook of it, and I gave it a fair shot. Because the first Harry Potter film, when it came out, I had a free ticket. So I thought, well, let me go and I'll check it out. And I saw so much being borrowed from so many other things. And I mean, I saw the Ron Hermione thing because they were totally Han and Leia. And Harry Potter was obviously Luke Skywalker. I could see all the different elements. I'm like, yeah, I've kind of seen this before. And I started to get dozy by the end. But after, I listened to the third book first, the audio, because that's the first one I could get from the library. And I was like, oh, hey, this is a compelling mystery. I said, well, maybe the books are where it's at. So I was listening to some of the books. And I was like, hey, I kind of like these better. So like, all right, maybe let me give this another shot. And started to enjoy the movies after that. But I mean, I didn't go along with it as quick as everybody else did. It took me a little bit of time to get on there. There were panels for Tron Ares, starring Joaquin Running and the cast. Ryan Gosling led sci-fi film called Project Hail Mary, and Dan Trachtenberg's latest Predator Badlands, and director David Farino's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Organic Intelligence. I know nothing about this other than being an Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It's going to be some sort of comedy, I'm pretty sure, because I have not seen the original movie. I did watch some cartoons of it, but I know that they didn't really take it seriously. Now, some fun things. George Lucas and Guillermo del Toro had a sneak peek of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art that's going to be happening. I think, did Chicago decide to go ahead and build that, or they decided not to go for it? But they did talk about this Museum of Narrative Art. I think George Lucas has been talking about it for a long time. It says they talked about it in San Diego. There's a lot of photos, and it's not really giving me a lot of news. This has been not really the most useful article, other than looking at a bunch of different photos that they took on Deadline. So I'm going to move on to the next article of some information to share. And this, looking at Toy Arc, and they have a really kind of fun picture. I'm thinking it's Ron Burgundy that I'm seeing this picture of. Would anybody want toys of Ron Burgundy? I don't know. But anyways, I want to talk a little about some of the toys. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. There was definitely some Masters of the Universe and Masterverse new toys to look at. And Masterverse, these are, of course, slightly larger toys. I'd say they're, got to look over what I've got. They're probably a little bit more than 6 inches, I want to say. They're fairly tall, and I've got a couple of them. Mainly the one that I enjoy with my Masterverse is I have one that was the 40th anniversary of He-Man, and it looks like the original figure, only larger. I do really enjoy that one. There was a Skeletor one I think is available again for me to purchase that I think I need to get that one. But they were showing off that they have Adora as a whatever rank she was. She was captain. She was like a force captain for the Horde before she realized who she was. And so they have that one, a really creepy looking Montana figure, a new Mosquito figure, a lot of other ones. I've been seeing something about a like a Horde act that they have. Well, I don't think that's a Masterverse, but there is. I think I saw it at a Target where they have. But I do see a new Etheria Horde act though that's coming as Masterverse. But the one I'm thinking that jumped straight to mind, I think I saw this at Target or something, that there was an early version of Horde act, like some early designs before we got the Horde act we're used to, that they have a figure of that. There is a new Masterverse version of Skeletor that has a Keldor head. You can switch back and forth. That might be some early version designs on that as well. Might be part of that new Eternia line, because there's a new Eternia line and a new Etheria line. But what got people really excited is the Origins line is going to have, from their animation line of toys, they're doing the 2000X series, which will be releasing, I believe, soon. I don't have a release date on this website I'm looking at, but they had a lot of them on display. Got to see quite a bit of them actually with Pixel Dan. You can see them, of course, on Toy Arc's got links to about everything. There's even some Ninja Turtle X Godzilla. So, I mean, this is like a crossover. So, I'd say Leonardo looks a lot more like Godzilla, but you got a Raphael that's got some wings, and a Donatello that's got wings. There's like a Rodan and a King Ghidorah look, I guess, is what's going on now. I wouldn't know which one is which, but the Turtles have been kind of crossing over with a lot of other, franchises to get redesigns on the Turtles, and sometimes they take the characters of that other toy line and they kind of redesign them to make them look like they fit in with the Turtles, and it's been a weird kind of mix. Also, I saw there's going to be some X-Men Legends figures, Marvel Legends really, that are Gamerverse, and they're based off looking like the old Capcom arcade games, which are very much, to me, the classic looks, very traditional, like 90s looks for the figures. So that would be like a figure line I'd be interested in getting as well. Lots of different toys having announcements and everything. I don't know that I have time. There is some new stuff even from Ghostbusters. Let me take a look at some of these here. I mean, some of the stuff, it's been things that have been on sale, like some versions of the Ecto 1 and the Ecto 2 that were being shown during the preview night. But I heard these have already been released, and a lot of people have already missed out on it because they sold really fast. The one thing that is kind of a weird thing is they have, and I'd say they're kind of more based off the real Ghostbusters from the design, but they're not really painted much, and they're supposed to be like glow-in-the-dark Ghostbusters, and they come with some little ghosts and stuff like that, which to me, they don't really look good. So I would not really be interested in picking those up, but otherwise, there's some new Ghostbusters toys coming very, very soon. Okay, so I want to move on from that to something that I can't say that I know a whole lot going on about this, but Marvel announced that Ultimate Endgame and the final issue of Ultimate Spider-Man has been revealed. So Ultimate Spider-Man number 24 is the final issue of Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto's hit run, and Ultimate Endgame number 1, the start of a 5-issue event series by Denise Camp, Jonas Scharf, and more, hitting the stands in December. Now, I did not know that they've had a new Ultimate Universe that's been going on, because I haven't been paying attention to comics other than the fact that I'm trying to learn the role-playing game. But yeah, this, I guess, has been pretty popular lately, and they're talking about some foil variants and everything, but they announced it while they're at Planet Comic-Con that they're wrapping this up. Because, see, I'm used to the Ultimate Spider-Man that was eventually landed us with Miles Morales, and he got crossed over into the 616 continuity and universe. So I don't know what's going on with this. This is kind of maybe another retelling that they just meant for it to be short-lived. But yeah, apparently it's been doing well. It's going to run up to its 24th issue and then call it quits. So I figured that was probably worth sharing with you all. All right, other bits of news. Ozzy Osbourne, of course, last week passed away, and I'm sure this meant a lot to quite a few of you. So Ozzy Osbourne, we all know, of course, the bizarre stories about biting heads off bats. But beneath the wild headlines was a man who redefined rock music. From his days in Black Sabbath to his solo career, Ozzy gave the world a sound and a show that shaped generations of music fans. Now, there was definitely a difference between Ozzy's persona as the Prince of Darkness, the performer, and the man, which I think somebody will correct me, I think his real name was John Osbourne, but he went by Ozzy from, being Osbourne being his last name. And there was definitely a difference between him and the persona that he presented out there, which kind of makes sense. You wouldn't want to actually be as evil as some people thought he was, but he was an entertainer. So and you might hear his name and think of the bats and the black eyeliner and being the godfather of heavy metal, but all behind those wild antics, it's just a guy who really changed music. So with Black Sabbath, he defined the genre. He had the riffs, the raw energy, and the voice that could haunt and howl. I don't think he had like the greatest voice for singing, but he became iconic with that voice. He turned rebellion into rhythm, but beyond the dark theatrics, he was kind of a teddy bear. He was just a really loud one. He had solo hits like Crazy Train, had a reality show that gave everybody a look inside of how crazy his household was. I don't know how real that really was. So you might have grew up guitaring Iron Man or laughing at his mumbling on MTV, but apparently did have a very soft heart. Now, there is some things that, of course, because I want to be fair a little bit, one of the worst stories of one of the things Ozzy has done is, and this is one of the reasons he quit drinking and he sobered up, is he nearly killed Sharon one time and ended up in jail for attempted murder. He was strangling her and he didn't remember a thing. And I find it interesting. He did something that horrible, but nobody ever, holds that against him. And he nearly kills somebody. No one brings that up. Granted, I saw it brought up and everything and some stuff I've seen this week, but it's not being held against him. He's been forgiven for that. Now, this other person I want to mention who's passed away had something he said. He didn't attempt to kill nobody, but something he said, and he's even apologized, like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But he came from a generation that would use this word, and they didn't really think much of it. Maybe they should have. I don't know. But the quote-unquote morality that the world tells you changes constantly. It's always what would be acceptable at one point, 10 years later, is probably completely condemned. And as soon as you do it, you have people that will completely write you off and say you were the most horrible person. And that's not right. And it's very hypocritical to be like, oh, well, he nearly killed somebody, but we're fine with that. And Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, he said a word and we didn't like it. Now, he had flaws, but so does everybody, right? So let me tell you something, brother. If you were a kid in the 80s or 90s, Hulk Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was the superhero in a headband with the red, the yellow, and the handlebar mustache, the flexing, and, of course, the immortal line, what you going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? Hogan helped launch wrestling into the mainstream, and he battled the giants, lifted Andre, and told kids to say their prayers and take their vitamins and also do the training. I have taken vitamins before. Maybe I need to get back on the vitamins. I need to pray more. I could always pray more, and I need to get back to my training. And it wasn't just the ring. He was everywhere. Cartoons. I think that's where I first saw him was with a cartoon. And then I was like, well, here's the real people wrestling. That's what got me interested in watching the wrestling. Because when I was little, my dad would watch over the AWA, NWA. My dad would watch that, but it was kind of boring. It really didn't get my attention. But then this cartoon comes on, and I'm all in, of course, cartoons. And I liked the cartoon. And then they would have little segments in the cartoon of showing the real people. And then, of course, after the cartoon, on Saturday mornings, they did have a program. And so we started watching the program, and that's what kind of got me into watching things like that. So my first WrestleMania was 3. So it took me a while to get in there. But, of course, he wasn't just in the ring. Of course, we mentioned the cartoons, movies, lunchboxes, and he even slammed into Hollywood with movies like Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny. Was it over the top? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that was the magic. Hulk Hogan brought energy, hope, and a whole lot of charisma to every arena and every TV screen. So whether you're tearing your shirt in the living room or quoting Hulkamania on the playground, this one's for the man who body slammed pop culture. Now, the interesting thing is I've seen some people say is that Hogan was the one that first seemed to address the crowd more directly with what he would do in the ring. Because after he'd win, he'd start, interacting with the crowd and like, all right, you want the flex? And he would try to listen for the crowd noise and stuff like that. And that was kind of what he brought to the table, is being more interactive with the crowd. And I got some quotes. I figured, for all the people who want to say that they just, know everything about him. Well, let's hear from people who actually met him. So Chris Jericho says this. This is what people shared on social media or said out loud. But he says, when I started in WCW, I had the pleasure of meeting one of my childhood heroes. Then years later in WWE, I had a blast with him entertaining millions, the same way he had entertained me for many years. Thank you for everything, Hulkster. You paved the way for all of us. Please say your prayers and eat your vitamins, everybody. You just never know. Now, Devon Dudley. Oh, by the way, a black man. And, Devon, get the tables. Devon was always fun. I didn't really like it when he did the weird preacher character, though, that they switched him over to. It felt a little, kind of blasphemous. Not entirely, but I don't know. I didn't like it. I think maybe because they had him as a heel, and I don't know. I don't like the way they did that, but him running around as the Dudleys, those were fun. But anyways, he said this on his podcast with the Duke. This is a quote. We are all guilty in one way, shape, or form of saying something or doing something that wouldn't be considered appropriate. I'm not condoning it in any way, what happened or what was said at his lowest point, because listen, I'm African American. I get it, okay? If anybody gets it, it's us as African American people. Once again, I'm reading his quote. I'm a white guy, y'all. So, but at the same time, this isn't quoting him again, but at the same time, you can't deny what this man has done for the wrestling business. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, there would be no WWE, there would be no AEW, there would be no TNA, there would be none of this. We wouldn't even be having this platform right now. We're able to still be relevant in this business because of that man. The business is hot right now. So for people to say what they say about the comments he made, I get it. I understand why you're hurt by it, and I was hurt too. But like the Bible says, forgive, because if you don't forgive your brother, I will not forgive you, and that's exactly what the Bible says. Okay, that's the end of the quote. Devon said Hogan apologized to him in person and told him that he loved him. Here's another quote from him. It says, he apologized to me. He pulled me aside and said, Devon, I'm not that type of person. I'm not. He said, they're killing me on social media. They're making me feel like I am. I know I might have said things in the past or done things in the past, but brother, I love you. And you know what? He didn't have to tell me that. He didn't have to pull me aside and say that, but he did. In his world, if you really think about it, and I'm not taking anything away from myself, but I'm a nobody compared to what this man has done. He didn't have to do that with me, but he did. He said, Devon, I love you, brother. I love and respect everything that you've done, how you've gotten yourself out of this hole. And no matter how many times they try to knock you down, you keep getting up. I have so much respect for you. And that was then. He later said, you sat there and you buried this man for the comments he made. Yes, I get it, but I also know these same people have done things that, if brought to light, fans wouldn't be happy with. Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring, anyone? People wouldn't be happy with it, and you probably wouldn't be. I'm messing up the quote here. And you'd probably be put in the same boat as Hogan. Yet you buried the man when he was alive. I get it. You were upset, but now that he's gone, it's kind of like you're being hypocrites, which is what I said earlier. And I'm not just talking about people in the industry. I'm talking about people in general. You're being hypocrites about it. Don't say good things about him now while he's gone. Try to correct how you felt before and how you couldn't let it go. So that was what Devon said in a podcast. And they kind of broke it up there. There was a little bit of quotes in between to kind of said that, like he said something later. But I remember Philip and I were actually talking about this in a chat on Facebook between ourselves, Messenger, and how people would say, oh, well, he just really couldn't wrestle. But then if you hear the stories of what Hulk Hogan did in Japan, it was very technical. He had the skills to do a lot of technical wrestling. But he knew how to, appeal to that crowd. That's what they expected in Japan. Here in America, we wanted those larger than life, just superhero characters. So he played that role for us here to entertain us. It is entertainment, and he's the one who really brought the entertainment to wrestling. And if he hadn't done what he did, it would probably still be, we probably would still be trying to think it was all like not predetermined, that there was a story. I mean, I don't want to say it's not real, because these guys can get hurt doing this, and these ladies can get hurt doing this. There's ladies out there doing it. I mean, it is dangerous. They take a lot of training to do this and do what they do. There's a lot of dangerous stunts, and it takes a lot of athleticism in there, and they do get hurt. They don't get hurt as bad as if they were full on punching each other. I mean, there is control to things. And I have heard stories where you pay your receipts. If you mess something up, somebody's going to get you and hurt you And I heard Harley Race like to go through when he was getting people in his school, he would stretch you. So he'd go and he'd put you in a hole, but then he'd apply the pressure like you'd see in a UFC, because those holds they do in the UFC are very similar to what you see in wrestling, except for in the wrestling, they're not going to apply that pressure to it. But in UFC, though, yeah, they'll apply the pressure because they want you to tap for real. Anyways, here's a quote from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It said, "Rest in peace, Terry Bollea, a.k.a. the immortal Hulk Hogan. To millions of little kids, you were a childhood hero, myself included." And that's kind of where I come in. He was one of my superhero people. And I always found it fun that Marvel was kind of behind his name because they had to get rights for calling him Hulk. Especially when they used to call him the Incredible Hulk Hogan back in the early time in the 70s. So in 1984, I gave you your Hulkster headband back in the locker room in Madison Square Garden. Oh, yeah. Okay, he's going to tell the story. "I was the lucky kid that caught it when you threw it in the crowd. You were wrestling Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff that night in the main event. You were shocked and so happy after the match because you told me that was your very last headband, and if it weren't for me, you'd have no way of getting that exact one made again. You promised me that you would get more made and gave me a Hulkster headband of my own as a thank you gift. A month later in Madison Square Garden, you did just that. You kept your word with a handshake and a thanks, kid. And that meant the world to that little 12-year-old boy. Just 17 years later, and still a kid at the age of 29 years old, I'm standing in the middle of the ring and facing you, one of my wrestling heroes, in the main event of WrestleMania. The match was to decide who would go down in history as the greatest of all time. When you kick out of my rock bottom finisher, you just listen and feel that crowd go electric. All for you. I've never felt anything like that in my entire wrestling career. It takes two to tango, but that historic crowd reaction was all for you. You may have passed the torch to me that night, but you, my friend, you drew the house, meaning you sold out every arena and stadium across the country in your prime as Hulk Hogan, all on your way of becoming the greatest of all time. From deep in my bones and on behalf of this wild and crazy world of professional wrestling that we love, I say to you now and forever, thank you for the house, brother." And here's something Chris Anthony Lansdowne, who's previously been on the show, she is, of course, a voice mainly. She was the original voice of Barbie for toys, and I think she did some of those animated films on video as well. She's still the original Barbie. And also on Adventures in Odyssey. Hi, this is Chris. If you go and search on the website at NeverlandPodcast.com, where the entire network is now kept, because yes, we have a whole network. If you go over there, you will find you can do a search for her name, Chris Anthony Lansdowne. You can find that. So a long time ago, I had her on the show, and I'm sorry I didn't look it up for you. But she says, "I watched this celebrity walk into a hospital room." She's talking about Hulk. "Bend down to a very sick little girl's hospital bed and with tears in his eyes, tell her she was his hero. That little girl smiled and weakly sat up in her bed and hugged him. Her parents said that was the first time she had smiled in weeks. He helped pay for her medical expenses. Her medical expenses out of his own pocket. I personally have visited many sick kids in the hospital, and it's not easy. In fact, it's heartbreaking. I will never forget that day. He's not a perfect man, and like all of us, has made mistakes. I know I have plenty of them myself. However, I also believe in grace, kindness, and seeing the good in people when we can. Thank you, Chris Anthony." I asked her if that was, because she didn't say any names, but I was like, okay, was that about Hulkster? If so, I want to use it. So I was very happy to share that. It was a very nice story.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe will be back right after these messages.
Are you a fan of Adventures in Odyssey, Lamplighter Theater, or Jonathan Park? Want to join other fans for discussions or behind-the-scenes info about these shows? Or maybe you're looking for more great audio drama to listen to with your family. Do you enjoy hearing exclusive interviews with the cast and crew of your favorite shows? Then Audio Theater Central is the podcast for you. I'm JD Sutter. Since 2010, Audio Theater Central has been exploring the family-friendly audio drama world through news, reviews, and interviews. Join me and a rotating cast of co-hosts each month for another episode featuring the latest updates, in-depth reviews of new releases, and conversations with the actors, writers, directors, sound designers, and composers who create your favorite audio dramas. And maybe we'll introduce you to some great shows you've never heard of before. Find us at audiotheatercentral.com or in your favorite podcast app. That's audiotheatercentral.com.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
Today, the wrestling world lost an icon, but Ted DiBiase lost a very good friend. Hulk Hogan was the man. Way back when Vince McMahon Sr. gave the ship over to Vince McMahon Jr., his first big star was Hulk Hogan. The last match I had, the first time I went through the New York territory, was in Madison Square Garden against this new guy called Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon Sr. came to me and said, Ted, we got high hopes for this guy. We'd like for you to really get him over. And I did. Well, let's fast forward several years. After that match, Hulk Hogan came to me and he said, thank you so much, buddy. And he says, I owe you one. So fast forward, now Hulk has become the man. I mean, it's like the first action figures and all that stuff. It was Hulk Hogan. He was the guy. He was the superstar of wrestling. And when I went back to New York, when it was now much bigger and all over the country, the first time he walked up to me in the dressing room, he shook my hand and he said, looked at me and he winked and he said, it's payback time, buddy. It's payback time. And after that, oh my gosh, I wrestled in main events with Hulk Hogan. I tag teamed with Andre the Giant, and who knows, but not only was he a good wrestler, he was a great guy and a man of his word. And the thing that I remember most about Hulk today is this. There came a time in his life, just like in my life, where he understood that without Jesus Christ in his life, he had nothing, and he became a Christian. Just like Hulkster, I had become a Christian as well. And I just would say this, Hulk, I know you're with the big man upstairs, and one day we will meet again. I love you, man, and I miss you.
All righty. I do have some quotes from a few others. We're going to get to that, but I think I need to take a minute to tell y'all a little bit about Dubby before we continue on with that. Now, if you go to neverlandpodcast.com, which is, of course, the home of the Neverland network of podcasts, and you can find about all of our shows right there, you'll find a big logo for Dubby. If you happen to be a gamer and you want to have energy, but you don't want to have the jitters, you need a good, healthy way to get some of that energy. And Dubby has methods for you. If you click that link right there, you get to use a discount code Neverland, and you can get a discount on your order. It's a lot of drink powders that you can get waters. You just mix it with water and you drink it up. Lots of different flavors. You can find whatever you like. And if you use my links and everything there and my discount code, I get a little bit of a kickback, and I do appreciate that. But while you're on the website, don't forget we have a shop. And you can find it up the upper menu to get to our shop. I've been hopefully working with it to where all the payment methods are working properly. I've had some trouble trying to set this thing up myself. But we have lots of different T-shirts and blankets and cups and mugs and tumblers, all kinds of fun things that have different things either related to the show or just fun on there. And so I'd really appreciate if you come by and take a look and find something you might like and order some stuff. I don't get a whole lot from that, but I do get something, and hopefully you get something you will enjoy. I try to make sure there's products on there for enjoy. If there's something you think you would enjoy that would kind of relate to the show, or that I have, maybe you see a logo or something on there that you don't have available for you on a certain item, let me know that you would like to have that, and I will make sure that I can try to get that product available for you. So that is, of course, you find my shop, and heck, it's shop.neverlandpodcast.com. Go and check it out. And while I'm talking about things like this, I do want to let you know about Podgagement. I got a link for that right there on the website as well. That is Daniel J. Lewis's fantastic program for all you podcasters. If you need the utensils to get ahead, including a way to get all of your reviews, that is the way to do it. He will get your reviews emailed to you. Has so many different ways for you to get your podcast, give it an edge above some of the others. So once again, that is all at neverlandpodcast.com. And that, of course, is Podgagement. Okay, I have one more thing about Hulk Hogan I want to share, but before we get there, Ted DiBiase, once known as the $1 Million Man, and one of the greatest heels of all time. He's become a pastor. I've got a documentary about him that I own it, but I haven't sat and watched it. But this, brings into question Ozzy. Now, granted, I'm sure you've heard I've got a lot more stuff about Hulk than I do Ozzy. I think Hulk had a bigger impact on my life than Ozzy. I just want to give y'all who are Christians some hope on Ozzy. Now I have, and Philip has mentioned this, that he's seen this video as well, and I found the video where you hear Ozzy talk about he doesn't believe in a higher power, but when you hear the entire thing of what he was saying, it sounds like he was talking about it's this comical higher power of some guy standing around on clouds. Well, I don't believe in that one either, right? I believe in the God of the Bible, and I think if we'd have gotten a bit more of that Ozzy's quote, I think we would have gotten a little bit more of that, because other things Ozzy said is he grew up as part of the Church of England, I think the Anglican Church. Went to Sunday school, and he grew up in the church, and he may have come to Christ while he was little. And if you come to Christ and you let Jesus in your heart, as we kind of say, if you let him be Lord in your life, he doesn't let go, even if you wander off. And boy, did he ever wander off. God doesn't let go of you, right? So something could have happened in his childhood. We don't know. But also in his life, he did try to straighten up. And there is an evangelist, and I think he's got a YouTube channel. I've seen a video where he talks about when I probably should have grabbed the quote. It was all typed up even somewhere, that he got a chance to share the gospel to Ozzy, and he gave Ozzy a Bible. And Ozzy said, like, oh, the problem that he's had, because he'd call himself a Christian, but the problem he had is he couldn't understand like the King James version of the Bible, and he just couldn't understand the Bible. So he gave him an easier translation to read. And from what Ozzy's family has said, he loved that Bible that was given to him, and he read it all the time. He'd read it before bed. He'd talk about it when they would have family dinners together and stuff like that. So it meant a lot to him. So that gives me hope. I mean, I don't know that we can confirm or deny whether or not we're going to get to see Ozzy in heaven, but I hope we do. And I hope I get to heaven, and there's a lot of people I wouldn't expect to see there that I'm going to get to see and celebrate with them, that we're all together. We all knew the Lord. So I do want to share that and everything. I hope Ozzy is in heaven. I didn't know him personally, and there's not a whole lot of public profession other than people have documented. No, he did say he was a Christian, but did he come to a personal, true knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ? Even if it's just a minor, as they like to say, the smallest shack in heaven is better than the biggest mansion in hell, right? So I hope to meet Ozzy there in heaven along with all of you. So one last quote I want to share. I thought I had a little bit more audio on Instagram, but no, this is from Jimmy the Heart, Mouth of the South. And I guess I'm just basically got a quote from him here. I guess I'll read it myself. What can you say when losing a best friend? First, to Hulk's family, I love you. I'm here for you all. Hulkster, you always kept me close to you, though through everything, it was an honor. We traveled the world back and forth. Wherever we went, Hulkamania was alive, brother. The fans always came out, and we loved every minute of it. You made more people smile than I'll ever be able to count. Those are the memories I'll forever cherish. Thank you for a 4-decade ride. I will keep the megaphone going. Red, white, yellow will live on. Legends never die, baby. I love you, Terry. Hulkamania forever, from Jimmy Hart. There's a few other things that I did come across this week. There were some great interviews with Natalia Neidhart, and she's talking about how her father, Jim the Anvil, when he hit hard times, he was let go from the WE. Hulk stepped in immediately and says, like, hey, why don't you come be on my show with me, or come be in Mr. Nanny? He kept him involved in doing stuff. He looked out for his friends. He did. All right, and I also do want to share what Brooke Hogan had to say actually just recently on Monday on her Instagram, saying that the media had a convoluting narrative regarding her father, whom she's been estranged since September 2023, by the time that he married his current wife, Sky, that they got baptized together, and everything, him and Sky, and then passed away. But she says, my dad's blood runs through my veins, his eyes shine through my children, and our blood has never broken, not even in his final moments. And she went on to describe how, as he was kind of having more surgeries and getting older and everything, he seemed to kind of want to protect her from watching him deteriorate. But she says, how deeply, how hard, and how purely I loved him. It's a very long post on her Instagram, but it is very warm. And even his ex-wife, Linda Hogan, I get for lack of anywhere else together, but his first wife said, I've been weeping all day. The finality is just shocking. We spent every minute together for so many years. I've known him since he was 28 years old and I was 22, and I still love him. She wrote this also on her Instagram. Even though I never spoke or saw him, Nick did, and Nick would tell me things and vice versa. Just news about life. I still felt, although broken, we were still family. It's so hard to know he's just gone. So yeah, there's even nice things coming from the family members that he's supposed to be estranged from. They're saying nice things as well. And yeah, there's some things we could say about his first wife, Linda. That really went bad, really bad on probably both ends. But she still has nice things to say. So maybe we should take that as an example for anyone who wants to pull up any negative feelings or whatever you have. Look, people who maybe have some problems still have some nice things to say. And even Brooke, he hasn't, had a strained relationship over the last couple of years, but it seemed also he was trying to protect her from his slowly failing health. And she apparently had concerns that people were kind of exploiting her father over these last couple of years, because they can make money off of him. I don't know, but that's seems to have been her concerns when you get into the whole mess of things. So, but everybody should have some nice things to say. But another person I saw a great video with is an interview with our boy Ric Flair. He was brought to tears in an interview, and it's fun. It's kind of fun. He's just gotten he beat cancer, got some melanomas removed, so he's whooped cancer. And he's got some scar thing, but he's got somebody who was taking care of him, and he's here trying to talk. And you see this hand come in and kind of wipe tears away from him and everything. Somebody who was like kind of take care of him, and as he recovers from some serious surgery from the look of him. But he was just in tears talking about how great Hulk was to him. So there's more good, positive things to say about him than the negatives. And let's remember the positive things. He meant a lot to us as kids. If you're Gen X, he was a superhero for us. And some of the people are still watching wrestling probably because of him. And I haven't really been watching in a while, but I still like to watch the old era. But yeah, he's certainly had an impact on our lives. And I think we should remember the positive impact that he has instead of focusing so much on the negative.
Oh, want to see a movie?
Yeah, any good?
It was bad?
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing.
My eyeballs could have been sucked from their sockets.
I like it a lot. The best movie ever made.
A Fandom Nexus movie review.
Famous around the world, please welcome the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch.
I love you, Johnny.
And the Thing.
Hey, what time is it? Say the thing.
That's not really something I say.
It's clobbering time.
That's just in the cartoon. Never late for Sunday dinner. Let's eat.
Hey, what time is it?
It's dinner time. Get inside.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
What is that? Get us out of here, Ben! Hold on! Are we safe?
I don't know.
The clock is ticking. We are going to find a solution. We are going to make it right.
You don't want to just crush him?
I like that.
The four of us will face the danger. We will protect you.
Family. It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself. We'll face it together. As a family.
What time is it, Ben?
No.
What time is it, Ben?
No, Johnny.
Say it!
I don't wanna!
Say it!
Well, aside from me hitting wrong buttons, I'd say overall I've been enjoying the show. Spending this time with you and sharing some memories. It's been kind of nice. Now, I'm trying to find where I have my a brief history of some Fantastic Four. So before the Avengers, before the X-Men, there was the Fantastic Four. I mean, the Fantastic Four, this is the beginning of, because we had Timely Comics before, and there were some nods in the movie to Timely Comics, and there are even a couple of guys I didn't realize were supposed to be Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, but Jack Kirby and Stan Lee also wrote them into a comic book where Reed Richards and Sue Storm got married. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby have themselves as two guys trying to get into the wedding and are denied entry. But anyways, so before all that, there was the Fantastic Four. This was the beginning of the true Marvel Comics. They were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1961, which the interesting thing is, if you do the math in the movie for the year they're aiming for, it's been 4 years since 1961. It's 1965 that this movie takes place in. So it's been 4 years. From there, it's kind of cool. Anyway, but this was Marvel's first superhero family, and they brought cosmic storytelling, real-world tension, and bold personalities into comics with powers born from space, radiation, and a dynamic built around family drama. Radiation was the excuse for everything back then. They didn't know much about radiation, so they needed something to happen. Well, radiation happened, like a radioactive spider, So, of course, you got Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, the stretchy super genius, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, graceful yet powerful. Now, she originally was the Invisible Girl, but she did upgrade. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, who's reckless and fiery, literally. And then Ben Grimm, the Thing, rough, lovable, and it's clobbering time. His very iconic. And their villains were legendary, too, from Dr. Doom to Galactus to Annihilus. And their world introduced the Negative Zone, the Skrulls, and even Wakanda. Over the years, they've had ups and downs in live action, but now we're getting a fresh start. And before the review of the film, let's talk about what's made them important to Marvel's legacy, which was supposed to be some trivia. So let me just ask you this trivia, because I was going to ask Philip this. So who was originally offered the role of Reed Richards in the 1994 unreleased Fantastic Four movie? That is Alex Hyde White. Which villain was originally introduced in the pages of Fantastic Four and later became a major Marvel villain? That would be Dr. Doom. What real world invention did Reed Richards build in the comics before it was developed in actual science? That was a drone. Drone surveillance used like small flying robots in some of the early issues. And what classic monster movie inspired Ben Grimm's transformation into Thing? That would be Frankenstein. And Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's monster, also helped inspire the Hulk. So there's kind of fun facts with you. So yeah, a lot of great little bits of fun bits of trivia and everything about the Fantastic Four. But now let's get down to the nitty gritty, and I'm glad I'm making such good time here in the show. So this, like I said before, looking at the trailers, I liked the style and look of it, but the more I was seeing about when I'd hear Thing talk, and let me look up the actors. I do like the actor that played him. I have seen him in other things, right? I recognized him, and all the different things. It's one of those faces I didn't know his name, but when you see him, you're like, oh, that guy. Let me pull down to a cast listing here. There we go. So that would be Eben Moss Bacharach. Of course, we had Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, although we've seen him in everything. We're kind of tired of him. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. Joseph Quinn was actually Eddie in Stranger Things. I don't know why I didn't recognize him, but I guess from the long hair to the short blonde hair, it was like a bit of a difference. And I will say that I was not all in with Ben Grimm, the Thing, how he didn't seem to have his Brooklyn kind of style and his accent, and I wanted a little bit more gravel in the voice, and we didn't get that. And and then hearing the Johnny Storm was like, well, he's kind of a womanizer. We don't want him to be like that. I was afraid they were changing characters a lot. And even Pedro Pascal with, having to keep his mustache in there as Reed Richards. But I was pleasantly surprised that the characters did come across. They weren't perfectly done like the Thing. Like I said, there's some flaws to it, but every other way, they did have it right. And Johnny, of course, being completely in love, which seems to be some of the reasons why they got Shala Ball as being their Silver Surfer, which this is a character that I guess in some universe, if I got this right, she's supposed to be like Nora and Rad's wife. And so in an alternate universe, she became the Silver Surfer, willing to become the Herald of Galactus in order to save her planet, which is how Nora and Rad is supposed to have come to become the Herald of Galactus. So, but one of the reasons we get to do this is that, Johnny gets to have a bit of a crush. And so he's the one that's trying to slowly figure out things. And we don't get the moment. We don't have Alicia Masters in here, unfortunately, because Alicia Masters is the one that really gets Nora and Rad to kind of think about what he's doing. and have him turn against Galactus. But it's really Johnny kind of helps talk to her and learns her language because he's got a crush. And they made Johnny and all of them to be a bit of a scientist so that everybody could be a little smarter and everybody gets to contribute. But another reason why I see that they did this is, and for those, you've probably heard the term MCU, where Marvel was trying to get a lot more focus on female characters. And they thought, oh, we'd have to use strong women. But they were doing it all wrong at first. And they had flawless women, right? That they never really get hurt, and they kind of put the men down and stuff like that. And it's just, no, you don't do it like that. That's not how you make a man be a hero. So it doesn't work when you make a woman a hero that way. So they learned their lessons, it seems, with this. And Sue, although Sue is very powerful, they utilize that. And she kind of gets to save the day, as well as, spoiler warning, I mean, she gets her big moment to save the day, and so does the Silver Surfer. They get their moment really, really save the day. So the two women characters really kind of save the day, but they don't really do it alone. But Sue has to make a sacrifice, as well as this Silver Surfer, Shala Bal. I'm probably not saying her name right at all, but they both have to sacrifice something to save the day. And that is how you make any good person a hero, male or female. That is how you build a hero. And you don't put down the men to lift you up. You just have them be part of a team, or have them do something super heroic and sacrificial. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And it worked. She earned it. And it's like, so, okay, good. Because we like some good female superheroes. We want to see them. But you got to tell their story the right way to make us enjoy them and love them. And they did it. They got it right. So I want to give them credit. I mean, that's what they've been looking for. They finally figured out how to do it. I was really thrilled with it. I got to say, though, Herbie kind of stole the movie for me. I loved Herbie. I really did. I loved Herbie. And I want a toy of him. Some fun things. The original cast from that 1994 unreleased movie had little small bits as power plant workers. We recognize Jay Underwood. He was kind of a star before that, and Philip found out Jay Underwood is actually a pastor. So he was in a lot. If you look him up, he was in a lot of movies in the 80s and early 90s, including The Boy Who Could Fly. He was The Boy Who Could Fly. So did a lot of great stuff, but that's why we haven't seen much out of him lately. He's a pastor. But he was a plant power worker along with Michael Bailey Smith, and then Alex Hyde White was the ABC newscaster, William Russell, and then Rebecca Staub was a Channel 9 newscaster. So you have, like newscasters and plant workers, that these were the original Fantastic Four actors. And it's really cool to see them get a cameo in there. And there's so many Easter eggs and cookies and hiding things like Timely Comics and so much stuff going on there. I mean, I had to watch a video that went through all the stuff that they hid in there. There's so many Easter eggs, and it was totally worth it. But I will admit I was wrong. I had from the teasers and trailers, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I really enjoyed it. Do I think it was better than Superman? Maybe not quite. I might almost put them on equal footing, but I really enjoyed Superman. And this one, I went in there like, all right, I wasn't expecting much, but I don't know that when it got going in those first 5 minutes, it kind of hooked me in and pulled me in and got me kind of excited. And then the story kind of goes. And it really worked. Now, here's the criticism that I want to give, and this has to do with story. And I had stepped to the bathroom and everything, and I didn't see where this happened, but Philip kind of filled me in real quick. But this is where now Superman, you could say maybe the flaw in story was like when he gets the second half of the message, but I think they're building something up that's going to happen in Supergirl where he's going to find out that that message is false. I don't want to say any more about that, but that would actually be in line with something that's happened in some comics that James Gunn is using as reference material. So he's probably going to use that when Kara gets in and finds out about that thing, Kara Zor-El, Supergirl is going to take issue with that message. I have a feeling. So we'll see when that comes out next year. But the one thing that it felt unnecessary. So while I went to the bathroom, and when the Fantastic Four come back and they have to tell everybody they were unable to defeat Galactus in space, and Galactus is still coming, there's something Galactus wants that the Fantastic Four could have given him. And I don't want to say once that they didn't, and they have very good reason not to do it. It's a lot, and it is some thematic stuff. There's some Christian thematic material there that Philip kind of nudged me in there. So Philip had to talk during the movie; he couldn't help himself. So that's what he does. That's what we do together in that podcast, watching movies with my pastor. We talk during the movie. Join us, anyways. So there was something that they did that I didn't feel was necessary that they needed to do. All it did was built up so Sue could have a moment of talking to the people, because everybody kind of turns on the Fantastic Four. It's like, you could have saved us all by just doing this one thing. But what the Galactus asked for is not such a simple thing, right? It is a big, heavy thing. And you couldn't ask people to do this, right? I mean, you can't, granted, okay, let me quote Spock for you. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But it's better when you are the few that you get to decide if you're going to sacrifice yourself. And what Galactus wants is somebody who can't choose for themselves at this point or communicate to anybody that, oh, no, that's fine. So someone has to be an advocate for that person. And I feel like I'm saying too much, but as I'd say what Philip was looking at is, when you look at a Christian angle, God is willing to give his son to save all of us, right? But the son had to be willing to do it. And he sacrificed himself to save the entire world, right? And there is a little bit of a mirror to this of what's going on. And y'all have probably got this figured out. If you haven't seen it, you probably get the idea. But I'm trying not to spoil it and say it outright. But there is a similar type of thing from what Galactus wants, that he would have stopped his attack. But so the Fantastic Four are finding a different way. But the world suddenly turns on them because they wouldn't do it. And but it gives Sue Storm a moment to come out there as a mother. And I'm saying too much. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. But yeah, this is a scene. But I don't think any of that was really necessary. It felt like something was happening, because why would you tell them? It's like, oh, well, we could have done this and Galactus would have turned around. That's none of the rest of the world's business. Just say, we weren't able to stop him. We're going to come up with another method. As they do. That's what a lot of this is, them getting the world to work together to find ways to save the world from Galactus. And that was really cool. They got everybody to unite to save the world. The whole world came together to try. It's really, really, really cool. And I enjoyed it. It was a great movie. I definitely recommend it. Is this Marvel back? Maybe. We'll see what Marvel does over the next few years as we got more movies on the way. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. They've talked about kind of finding a way to sort of soft reboot the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This gives them some building blocks, and I don't know if they want to merge worlds, because we got the X-Men kind of being brought in, and we know they're all coming together in the Avengers Doomsday, and then a Secret Wars movie. Secret Wars is supposed to be like the beginning of the new MCU. We don't know exactly what all that means right now, but they've been talking about that. So a lot of things to look forward to. I'm excited to see where they go with this. So overall, yes, go. And neither this or Superman are making the money that they deserve. If you haven't gotten to see these two movies, go out and see them. Granted, we got a Naked Gun movie coming out, I guess, this Friday, isn't it? Because today is the 29th. Yeah, so this Friday is a new Naked Gun movie. That's hopefully going to be good as well. But if you haven't seen Superman or Fantastic Four, get out there and check them out. They are definitely worth your time. You will have fun at the movies. And I know going to the movies is expensive. Like COVID drove prices up, and the movie theaters didn't want to bring their prices back down. So I understand, especially if you have a large family trying to get them all in there. But you'll all have fun together. You'll enjoy yourselves. I definitely recommend it. Very good movie. But you know what? It is time to wrap this up. So I want to thank you, of course, for listening. And I do want to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, Darren Wilhite of the Wilhite and Wall Show. They helped me out with the introduction. Don't forget, you can email us, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. Find us on X at NeverlandPcast. And then, of course, on Facebook, we have the Fandom Nexus, but you also have the groups under Neverland Podcast. And if you come into the group, you can interact and kind of talk, and you can even start posts. I do have a poll over there right now that I'd kind of like to hear from you all about. I'm not going to tell you what that poll is, because I'll be spoiling a show that's coming up. But it'll probably be on my very next episode. So if you're in the group, there is a poll. I think I've still got it pinned up there. Would like to know your point of view and what you think on there. So take a vote on there. So definitely go and check it out. Don't forget, you can join the Neverlanders at NeverlandPodcast.com, the home of the Neverland network of podcasts. You can become a Lost Boy or Pixie. Why become a Pixie? Because girls are too clever. They don't get lost. Find out all about it right there. Of course, don't forget, you can donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/NeverlandPodcast. Links are right there on the website. You can also, of course, right there in the show notes, you can find out where our Patreon is. There are bonus and exclusive episodes coming out on that Patreon. That Patreon is also, I have bonuses for the entire network for every episode where I'm going to have bonuses, and a lot of new stuff is coming. where I'm bringing back the Mighty Marvel Tooncast, and I'm also going to watch some anime with my wife, and we're going to do episodes based off those animes, but that's exclusively going to be on Patreon. So joining the Patreon, you get access to everything. Bonus episodes, bonus videos, no ads other than me, what I say, but the ads that I put in the beginning, middle, end of the show will not be on Patreon. Also, if you're a Red Circle exclusive member to the show, you won't get those ads either. But there's more stuff over at Patreon than there is just in the exclusive for Red Circle, just so you know. So yeah, go to Patreon and go over there. I want to say now, though, no copyright infringement is intended, and copyright is held by the respective owners. Content is shared for review and commentary purposes under fair use license. And now, get lost in an adventure, and we'll see you next time.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.